Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the horizon's edge and looked at the stars through the main window. He had been traveling through space for 15 years, and he never got tired of the view. The ship was quiet tonight. Most of the crew were sleeping in their quarters. Only the night shift remained awake, monitoring the systems and keeping watch. Jake was drinking his third cup of coffee when the sensors started beeping. Something big was coming toward them. Something really big. Commander Blake, wake up the senior staff. We have visitors. Within 10 minutes, the bridge was full of people. Dr. Lisa Cameron arrived first, still fixing her hair. She was the ship's xenobiologist, and she had been waiting her whole life for this moment. Ryan Blake came next, his military uniform perfect as always. Then Ambassador Claire Bennett walked in, looking calm and ready. On the main screen, they could see 3 massive ships approaching. They were unlike anything humans had ever built. The ships were smooth and curved, with lights that glowed in colors Jake had never seen before. They were beautiful and frightening at the same time. Send them a greeting message. Use all the languages we have. The communications officer started broadcasting. For 3 long minutes, nothing happened. Then a voice came through the speakers. It spoke perfect English. Greetings, humans of Earth. I am Ambassador Kreltok of the Zinthari Empire. We have traveled far to meet you. We come in peace and friendship. Lisa gasped. Claire smiled. Ryan stayed quiet, his hand near his weapon just in case. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earth Space Command. We welcome you, Ambassador Kreltok. We also come in peace. The alien ships moved closer. After another hour of careful communication, they agreed to meet in person. Jake, Lisa, Claire, and Ryan would go to the alien flagship. The Zinthari would send a small group to the horizon's edge. When Jake first saw Ambassador Kreltok, he was surprised. The alien was tall and thin, with blue skin that seemed to glow softly. He had 4 arms and large eyes that looked kind. He wore robes that floated around him like water. Welcome, Captain Morrison. We are honored to meet the humans at last. The honor is ours. We have dreamed of this day for generations. Kreltok led them through the ship. It was huge inside, with ceilings so high that Jake felt small. There were other aliens too, different types all working together. Some looked like birds. Others looked like rocks that could walk. One looked almost like a human, but with silver skin. How many species are in your empire? 47 species work together in the Zinthari Empire. We have been exploring the galaxy for thousands of years. We help young species like yours join the galactic community. Young species? Yes, most species need help to survive in space. The galaxy can be dangerous for those who are alone. That is why we were surprised to find you here, in this region of space. This area is very difficult. Not many species could survive here. Jake noticed something in Kreltok's voice. It sounded like respect, but also like worry. He wondered why. They sat down in a large meeting room. Other Zinthari officials joined them. For hours, they talked about their civilizations. The Zinthari explained how their empire worked. They had laws to prevent wars. They had technology to share. They had trade routes connecting thousands of worlds. We would like to offer Earth membership in our community. You would have access to our technology. You could trade with other worlds. You would be protected by our laws. That sounds wonderful. What would Earth need to do in return? Follow our laws. Accept our help with development. Allow us to guide you as you grow. Many species need this guidance. Space travel is hard. Building colonies is harder. Most species would die without help from others. Lisa was taking notes on her tablet. She was writing everything down. Ryan was watching the Zinthari carefully. Jake was thinking, you keep saying that most species need help, but humans have been in space for over 200 years. We have colonies on Mars and Europa. We built our own ships. We did all of this alone. The room became very quiet. The Zinthari looked at each other. One of them, a small creature with many eyes, made a sound like a whistle. Kreltok's skin changed color slightly, becoming darker. Yes, that is what worries us, Captain Morrison. That is exactly what worries us. The meeting continued, but the mood had changed. The Zinthari asked many questions about Earth. They wanted to know about human history. They asked about wars and peace. They asked about Earth's environment and weather. They asked about animals and plants. Lisa answered most of the questions. She talked about Earth's violent history, about ice ages and volcanoes. She mentioned the dinosaurs and how they died. She described human evolution and survival. With each answer, the Zinthari became more quiet. They whispered to each other in their own language. Their faces, which were already hard for humans to read, became even more difficult to understand. Your planet has very strong gravity, much stronger than most worlds where life exists. How did your species become so intelligent under such difficult conditions? We had to. Life on Earth was always hard. We had to be smart to survive. After the meeting ended, Jake and his team returned to their ship. They were tired but excited. First contact had gone well. The Zinthari seemed friendly and helpful, but Ryan was worried. Did you see how they looked at us? They were afraid. Why would they be afraid of us? They have 47 species and thousands of ships. We have one solar system and 40 ships. Maybe they're just careful. But he was thinking the same thing. Back on the Zinthari flagship, Ambassador Kreltok was meeting with his advisors. A military officer named Velshara was speaking. Ambassador, I have reviewed the data about Earth. This planet should not have intelligent life. The gravity is too strong. The weather is too unstable. There are too many natural disasters. And yet humans not only survived, they thrived. I noticed this too. Their evolution is remarkable. They developed intelligence while fighting predators that could kill them easily. They survived ice ages that covered their planet. They lived through volcanic eruptions and asteroid impacts. What are you saying? I am saying that humans evolved on a death world. By our classification standards, Earth is one of the most dangerous planets where complex life has ever developed. The fact that humans became intelligent there is almost impossible. Velshara nodded. And they built spaceships without any help. They colonized other worlds in their system alone. Ambassador, most species need support from the galactic community to even reach their own moon. Humans did it all by themselves on a planet that should have killed them long ago. Kreltok was quiet for a long time. Then he spoke. We must be very careful with the humans. They do not know what they are. They do not understand how unusual they are. We must help them, yes. But we must also be cautious. A species that can survive Earth can survive anything. Should we warn the Council? Not yet. First, we need to learn more. We need to understand what humans are truly capable of. Only then can we decide what to tell the galactic community. 3 days later, the humans and Zinthari agreed to continue their friendship. The Zinthari would send teachers and scientists to Earth. Humans would send students to Zinthari worlds. They would share knowledge and culture. As the alien ships prepared to return to Zinthari space, Jake stood on the bridge of the horizon's edge again. Earth Command was sending messages of celebration. The whole planet was excited. Humans were no longer alone in the universe. But Jake couldn't stop thinking about Kreltok's last words to him, spoken quietly where others couldn't hear. Be proud of what your species has achieved, Captain Morrison. You have done what most thought impossible. But be careful too. The galaxy is vast and not everyone will see humans as friends. Some will see you as competitors. Others will see you as threats. Your strength is great, but you do not yet understand how great it truly is. Jake had asked what Kreltok meant, but the ambassador had only smiled sadly and walked away. Now, watching the alien ships disappear into the darkness of space, Jake wondered what the future would bring. Humanity was about to join a galactic community of 47 species. They would learn amazing things. They would see incredible places. But deep down, Jake had a feeling that the Zinthari knew something that humans didn't. Something important. Something that would change everything. He just didn't know what it was yet. On the Zinthari flagship, as it jumped into faster-than-light travel, Velshara was writing her report. She had watched the humans carefully during the meeting. She had seen how they moved, how they talked, how they thought. She wrote one sentence at the end of her report that made her hands shake. The humans are not like us. They evolved to survive impossible things. They see challenges where we see barriers. They find solutions where we see problems. If they ever realize what they truly are, if they ever understand their own potential, nothing in this galaxy will be able to stop them. We have made first contact with a sleeping giant. We must pray it remains our friend when it wakes up. 6 months had passed since first contact. Lieutenant Sam Parker stood in the training room of the Joint Research Station orbiting Earth's moon. Across from him stood 3 Zinthari soldiers. They were practicing combat exercises together. Let's run the scenario again. Try to take me down before I reach that door. The Zinthari looked at each other nervously. One of them, a warrior named Keshavar, stepped forward. Lieutenant Parker, we have done this exercise 5 times. Each time you succeed. Perhaps we should try a different training method. Sam smiled. That's the point of training. You keep practicing until you get better. Come on, one more time. The exercise began. Sam moved fast, using tactics he had learned in basic training years ago. The Zinthari tried to stop him, but their movements were slow and careful. Within 30 seconds, Sam had reached the door. HFY looked frustrated. How do you move so quickly? Your body must be in pain from that acceleration. Sam laughed. Pain? I barely felt anything. We train in higher gravity than this station has. My muscles are used to it. Watching from the observation room above, Velshara was taking notes. She had been assigned to observe human military personnel for the past 6 months. What she had learned was disturbing. Next to her stood High Scholar Trenvik, who had been studying human culture and history. This is the 8th exercise I have watched. Every time the human wins easily. Our soldiers are well trained. They have years of experience. Yet one human pilot defeats 3 of them without effort. Trenvik nodded slowly. I have been studying their military doctrine. It is unlike anything in the galactic community. They plan for scenarios we consider impossible. They train for enemies that do not exist. What do you mean? The scholar pulled up a file on his tablet. Look at this. This is a human military training manual for something they call worst-case scenarios. It includes plans for planetary invasion, nuclear warfare, biological attacks, and total communications failure. They have detailed strategies for fighting when outnumbered 10-1. They practice surviving in environments that would kill most species within hours. Velshara felt her skin grow cold. Why would they need such extreme training? Because their history required it. I have been studying human wars. In their recorded history, they have fought thousands of conflicts. They have nearly destroyed themselves dozens of times. They developed weapons that could end all life on their planet, and they actually used some of them. The galaxy has been at peace for 3,000 years. How have humans survived such violence? That is what troubles me. They survived because they learned from every conflict. They studied war like a science. They created institutions to train soldiers. They wrote books about strategy and tactics. War is not something they fear. It is something they understand completely. Below them, Sam was explaining hand-to-hand combat techniques to the Zinthari soldiers. He showed them how to use leverage and momentum. He demonstrated moves that looked simple but were devastatingly effective. HFY tried one of the techniques. Your fighting styles assume the enemy wants to hurt you. Our training assumes the enemy wants to avoid conflict. Sam nodded. Yeah, that's a big difference. We train assuming the worst. If someone attacks us, we assume they want to win at any cost. So we prepare to fight back at any cost. But the galactic peace laws prevent such aggression. Laws are great. But what if someone breaks them? What if the AI peacekeepers fail? What if something comes from outside the galaxy? We need to be ready for anything. The Zinthari soldiers looked at each other. This kind of thinking was foreign to them. Most galactic species had lived under the protection of the peacekeeping AIs for so long that they had forgotten how to truly defend themselves. Elsewhere on the station, Dr. Marcus Webb was having his own revelations. He was a human historian who had been given access to the galactic archives. What he was reading shocked him. He called Lisa Cameron, who was still working as the head of xenobiology research. Lisa, you need to see this. I have been reading about how other species evolved. It's incredible. Lisa came to his office. She found Marcus surrounded by data screens, his eyes wide with excitement. Look at this. The Zinthari homeworld has gravity 30% weaker than Earth. Their weather is stable. They have no extreme seasons. Their largest predator is about the size of a house cat. The same pattern repeats for almost every species in the galactic community. Lisa leaned closer to the screens. So they evolved in easier conditions than we did. Much easier. Earth is classified as a death world in the galactic database. It says here that death worlds are planets where life should not develop intelligence. The challenges are too great. Species either go extinct or remain simple. But we became intelligent anyway. Exactly. And get this. The database lists only 12 death worlds in the explored galaxy. Earth is one of them. Of those 12, only Earth has developed intelligent life. We are literally unique. Lisa sat down heavily. That explains why the Zinthari were so nervous during first contact. There's more. I have been reading about galactic history. Do you know how most species reached space? They built ships like we did? No, most species were helped by others. The typical pattern is that a young species develops radio technology, gets noticed by the galactic community, and then receives guidance and support for the next 1,000 years. By the time they build their first starship, they have been part of the community for generations. We built starships before anyone even knew we existed, right? We did in 200 years what most species need 1,000 years and outside help to accomplish. And we did it while fighting each other. Earth was having major wars during our space program development. Lisa felt a strange mix of pride and worry. Marcus, what does this mean for us? For humanity's place in the galaxy? Marcus stared at his screens for a long moment. I think it means we are much stronger than we realize. And I think the Zinthari know it. That evening, Ambassador Claire Bennett met with Krelltalk in a private meeting room. The Zinthari ambassador had requested the discussion. Ambassador Bennett, I must speak with you about a sensitive matter. Claire nodded. Of course, please, speak freely. Krelltalk seemed to struggle with his words. In the 6 months since first contact, my people have learned much about humans. We have studied your history, your culture, your biology, and we have come to a troubling conclusion. What conclusion? That humans are unlike any other species in the galaxy. You are stronger, more adaptable, and more resilient than we ever imagined possible. Your world shaped you into survivors at a level we cannot match. Claire was quiet for a moment. You sound afraid. Krelltalk's skin changed color. I am not afraid of humans themselves. I am afraid of what might happen when others in the galaxy realize what you are. Some will see you as allies. Others will see you as threats. A few might see you as competitors. We came in peace. We have shown nothing but friendship, I know. But your peaceful intentions do not change your capabilities. You have the strength to be the dominant force in the galaxy, whether you seek that role or not. That kind of power frightens those who have grown comfortable with the current order. What are you suggesting we do? Be cautious. Grow slowly. Give the galaxy time to understand that humans are friends, not conquerors. Do not expand too quickly. Do not show your full strength too soon. Claire felt a chill run down her spine. Are you saying someone might attack us? Krelltalk was silent for a long time. Then he spoke very quietly. I hope not, but I cannot promise it. There are powers in the galaxy who do not like changes to the balance. If they feel threatened by humanity's potential, they might act. And if that happens, I fear for both sides. Why fear for both sides? Because I have studied your history. I have seen what humans do when cornered. I have read about your wars, your weapons, your determination. If someone attacks you, they will not be prepared for your response. The galaxy has lived in peace for so long that most species have forgotten how to truly fight. But humans never forgot. You never stopped preparing. After the meeting, Claire returned to the human section of the station. She found Jake Morrison reviewing reports. Jake, we need to talk. Something is happening. The Zinthari are more than nervous about us. They are genuinely worried. Jake looked up from his reports. I've noticed it too. Every interaction feels like they are studying us, measuring us. It's like they are trying to figure out if we are friends or threats. Krelltalk warned me tonight. He said other powers in the galaxy might see us as threats. Jake stood up and walked to the window. Outside, Earth glowed blue and beautiful. Did he say who? No, but he was genuinely worried. Jake, what if we are too different? What if joining the galactic community was a mistake? Jake shook his head. It's not a mistake. We belong out here among the stars. But maybe we need to be more careful. Maybe we need to understand what makes us different before we go further. Back in the observation room, Velshara was finishing her latest report. Trenvik was reading it over her shoulder. You are recommending we share this information with the Council? Yes, the Council needs to know what humans are capable of. They need to understand that we have encountered something unprecedented. Some on the Council will panic. Some will want to limit human expansion. I know. But we cannot hide this truth. Humans are the most naturally powerful species ever discovered. They evolved in hell and emerged. The colony ship New Haven was 3 days from reaching Proxima Station when the attack came. Captain Greg Foster had been hauling supplies and colonists to the new human settlement when his sensors detected unknown ships approaching. We have 3 vessels on intercept course. They are not responding to hails. Greg felt his stomach tighten. The New Haven was a civilian ship. It had some defensive systems, but nothing serious. They were built for hauling cargo, not fighting. Send a distress signal. Full broadcast. Then prepare for evasive maneuvers. The ships came closer. Greg could see them now on the main screen. They were sleek and dangerous looking, with weapons clearly visible. Then a message came through. Human vessel, this is Commander Vrax of the Krell Dominion. You have violated our territorial space. Surrender your ship and prepare to be boarded. Greg checked his navigation data quickly. We are in neutral space. This is a recognized trade route. We have violated nothing. Your maps are outdated. The Krell Dominion claimed this region 2 days ago. You will surrender or be destroyed. Greg looked at his crew. They were mostly civilians. Engineers, farmers, teachers, families with children. He had 300 souls on this ship. Send another message to the Krell. Tell them we mean no harm and will leave their space immediately. The communications officer sent the message. For 30 seconds there was no response. Then the Krell ships opened fire. Shields are holding, but they won't last long. Captain, what do we do? Greg's mind raced. He had been in the Earth Navy before becoming a civilian captain. He knew tactics. He knew ships. And he knew that the Krell were making a terrible mistake. This is a mining ship. We have industrial equipment on board. Engineering, I need you to rig the mining lasers for combat use. Navigation, plot us a collision course with the lead Krell ship. Weapons, prepare to launch cargo pods filled with refined metals. Sir, that's crazy. The mining lasers aren't designed for ship combat. They don't need to be designed for it. They just need to work. Move. The crew jumped into action. Within minutes, they had modified their equipment. The mining lasers that cut through asteroids were now pointing at the Krell ships. The cargo pods, meant for hauling ore, were loaded with metal fragments that would act like shrapnel. The Krell commander laughed when he saw the human ship's pathetic attempt at defense. Look at them. They are using mining tools as weapons. This will be over in seconds. The Krell ships moved in for the kill, but they had never fought humans before. They had no idea what desperation and creativity could accomplish. Greg waited until the Krell were close. Then he gave the order, fire everything. Launch the pods. Full power to the mining lasers. The New Haven erupted with improvised weapons. The mining lasers, which could cut through solid rock, tore into the Krell shields. The cargo pods exploded near the enemy ships, filling space with deadly metal fragments. The Krell shields, designed to stop normal weapons, were overwhelmed by the sheer volume and unpredictability of the attack. The lead Krell ship's shields collapsed. The mining laser cut deep into its hull. Emergency alarms blared throughout the enemy vessel. Impossible. They are civilians! They shouldn't be able to fight like this. Greg pressed his advantage. He ordered the New Haven to ram the damaged Krell ship. The enemy tried to evade, but the human ship was surprisingly agile for its size. Brace for impact. The New Haven's reinforced hull, built to withstand asteroid collisions, slammed into the Krell warship. The alien vessel spun away, its engines failing. It would take hours to repair. The 2 remaining Krell ships hesitated. They had expected easy prey. Instead, they had found a wounded animal that fought back with everything it had. Target the human ship's engines. Disable them, but Greg was ready. He had been in space battles before, back during the Mars colony's independence disputes. He knew how military minds worked. They will go for our engines, cut power to the main drive, redirect everything to maneuvering thrusters and weapons. The New Haven suddenly changed tactics. Instead of trying to run, it began weaving through space in unpredictable patterns. The Krell shots, aimed at where the ship should be, missed by wide margins. At the same time, Greg's crew was using every system on the ship as a weapon. They vented atmosphere to create thrust in unexpected directions. They used the ship's powerful tractor beams to grab space debris and throw it at the enemy. They even detached one of their cargo containers and rigged it to explode, creating a makeshift mine. Commander Vrax was growing desperate. What kind of species fights like this? They are civilians! They should be begging for mercy. One of his officers spoke quietly. Sir, perhaps we should withdraw. We have already lost 1 ship. If we lose more, the Dominion will question your judgment. Vrax felt rage building inside him. No, we are Krell warriors. We do not retreat from inferior species. All ships full assault. Destroy that vessel. The 2 Krell ships attacked with everything they had. The New Haven's shields finally failed. Energy weapons tore into the hull. Alarms screamed throughout the human ship. Hull breaches on decks 3 through 7. Fire in the engineering section. Shields are down. Greg knew they were out of time. The New Haven could not take much more punishment. But he would not surrender. He would not let 300 people become prisoners or casualties. Engineering, do we still have main power? Barely. The reactor is damaged but functional, good. Overload it. Set it to explode in 60 seconds. Then everyone get to the escape pods. Captain, if we overload the reactor while we are this close to the Krell ships, the explosion will take them out too. But we might not have time to escape, I know. But at least they won't be able to hunt other human ships. Do it. The crew began evacuating. Families ran to escape pods. Engineers worked frantically to buy them extra seconds. Greg stayed on the bridge, piloting the dying ship toward the Krell vessels. The Krell saw what was happening too late. The human ship, now a flying bomb, was accelerating directly toward them. Evade. Full reverse. They are going to ram us. But before the explosion could occur, something incredible happened. A massive ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel between the New Haven and the Krell vessels. It was a Zinthari warship, and it was followed by a dozen others. This is Admiral Kate Sullivan of the Earth Defense Force. Krell vessels, stand down immediately or be destroyed. Greg couldn't believe it. A human fleet had arrived. They must have received his distress signal and jumped to help. New Haven, this is Admiral Sullivan. Shut down your reactor overload. We have this situation under control. Greg collapsed into his captain's chair, exhausted. Engineering, cancel the overload. Everyone, we are safe. The Krell ships froze. They were now outnumbered and outgunned. Commander Vrax knew he had made a terrible mistake. Human Admiral, this was a misunderstanding. We were simply enforcing our territorial claims. Admiral Sullivan's voice was ice cold. You attacked a civilian vessel in neutral space. That is an act of war. Your ships will stand down and prepare to be escorted to the nearest Galactic Council station. Any resistance will be met with force. We outnumber you. 3 ships against your 1 fleet. Check your sensors again, Commander. That was a warning shot. My other ships have already targeted your weapons and engines. You have 5 seconds to comply. Vrax checked his sensors and felt his blood run cold. The human ships had locked weapons on every critical system. If they fired, his fleet would be disabled in seconds. We comply. The incident was reported immediately to the Galactic Council. Within hours, every species in the galaxy knew what had happened. A Krell attack on a human civilian ship had been repelled by the humans themselves, using mining equipment and determination. Ambassador Krelltalk received the news with deep concern. He immediately contacted Claire Bennett. Ambassador Bennett, I am deeply sorry about the attack on your people. The Galactic Council will investigate thoroughly. Claire's voice was hard. 300 civilians were nearly killed, Ambassador, including children. Because some Krell commander decided to test us, I understand your anger. But you must also understand something important. What happened today will change everything. Your civilian crew defeated trained Krell warriors using improvised weapons. That news is spreading across the galaxy right now. Good. Maybe others will think twice before attacking humans. Or maybe they will become more afraid. Ambassador, I warned you that some would see humanity as a threat. Today proved them right. You must be very careful now. The galaxy is watching. Back on Earth, President Daniel Wright called an emergency meeting. Jake Morrison, Admiral Sullivan, and Claire Bennett all joined via video link. This Krell attack was deliberate. They wanted to test our strength. The question is, did we pass or fail their test? Admiral Sullivan spoke up. We won the battle. But politically, I am not sure. The galaxy now knows that even our civilians can fight. That might scare people, Jake added his thoughts. The Zinthari have been warning us that we are different from other species. Today proved it. We need to decide how to move forward. Claire leaned forward. We have 2 choices. We can hide our strength and try to appear weak, hoping that makes others comfortable. Or we can be honest about who we are and show the galaxy that strong does not mean hostile. President Wright thought for a long moment. I vote for honesty. We cannot pretend to be something we are not, but we also need to show that we are not conquerors. We need allies. 3 weeks after the New Haven incident, the Krell fleet arrived at the edge of human space. 200 warships emerged from faster-than-light travel in perfect formation. It was the largest military force assembled in the galaxy in 3,000 years. Draknor stood on the bridge of his flagship, feeling confident. The humans only had 40 ships, according to his intelligence. This would be a quick victory. Send a message to the human government. Tell them they have 1 hour to surrender unconditionally. If they refuse, we will take their colonies by force. Back on Earth, President Wright received the ultimatum. He called an emergency meeting with all his top military advisors. Admiral Sullivan was already preparing for battle. They have 200 ships. We have 40. Those are terrible odds. Admiral Sullivan smiled coldly. Mr. President, they think they understand war because they have powerful ships, but they have lived in peace for thousands of years. They have forgotten what real war looks like. We haven't. What are you suggesting? We don't fight them ship to ship. We use guerrilla tactics. Hit and run, ambushes. We make them afraid of empty space. We turn their numbers against them. Commander Helen Price, the Strategic Operations Director, pulled up tactical maps. We have advantages they don't expect. We know our home systems better than they do. We have mining stations that can be turned into weapons. We have colonists who will fight to protect their homes. And we have something they lost a long time ago: desperation. President Wright looked at his advisors. Do we have any chance of winning this? Admiral Sullivan nodded. Yes, sir, but it will be brutal. It will be costly. And it will show the galaxy exactly what humans are capable of when we fight for our survival. Then we fight. Send our response to the Krell. Tell them Earth does not surrender. Draknor received the human response with satisfaction. Excellent. They choose to fight. This will make the victory even sweeter. All ships advance. Take the human colonies one by one. The Krell fleet moved toward the human colonies in the outer system. They expected to find small settlements protected by a few ships. Instead, they found nothing. Where are they? Where are the human defenders? The answer came in the form of asteroid strikes. Humans had attached engines to large asteroids and turned them into massive kinetic missiles. The rocks came from unexpected angles, moving too fast to avoid. 3 Krell ships were destroyed before they even knew they were under attack. What kind of weapons are these? They are using asteroids, sir. Simple rocks moving at high speed. Draknor felt anger rising. Rocks? They attack us with rocks? Destroy any asteroid that comes close. The Krell fleet began shooting at approaching asteroids. But there were hundreds of them. The humans had spent 3 weeks preparing this trap, and they had been very creative. Then the real attack began. Human ships emerged from behind planets and moons. They fired their weapons and immediately ran away. The Krell tried to chase them, but the humans knew every hiding spot, every shortcut, every dangerous route through the asteroid fields. Colonel Brandon Hayes was leading ground forces on one of the moons. The Krell had landed troops to take the human settlement. But what they found was a prepared battlefield. The colonists had evacuated to underground bunkers. The Krell soldiers entered empty buildings expecting easy conquest. Then the humans activated their traps. Buildings exploded. Streets became death zones. The colonists, armed with simple weapons, fought from hidden positions. The Krell had superior armor and weapons, but they had never fought an enemy that refused to give up. Every building had to be cleared. Every street was contested. The humans fought for days without rest, rotating troops through the underground tunnels. Colonel Hayes watched from his command post. The Krell are getting frustrated. They expected a quick victory. Instead, they are paying for every meter of ground. In space, Pilot Officer Nina Scott was leading a fighter squadron. Her mission was simple but dangerous. Harass the Krell fleet constantly. Never let them rest. Never let them feel safe. Her fighters were smaller and faster than Krell ships. They attacked from impossible angles, using maneuvers that should kill their pilots. But humans trained for high gravity. Their bodies could handle forces that would make other species pass out. Nina's squadron destroyed twice their number in enemy ships during the first week. They used tactics from Earth's ancient air battles. They studied their enemy and found weak points. They took risks that Krell pilots would never attempt. Break left. 3 bogeys on our tail. Nina pulled her fighter into a turn that crushed her body against the seat. Her vision narrowed, but she stayed conscious through sheer willpower. The Krell pilots tried to follow but blacked out from the forces. Their ships continued straight, making them easy targets. Back on the flagship, Draknor was receiving troubling reports. 3 months into the war, he had lost over 100 ships. The human colonies still resisted. His ground forces were pinned down in brutal urban combat, and his fleet was exhausted from constant harassment. How is this possible? They only had 40 ships. We destroyed most of them in the first battles. Sir, the humans are not fighting like normal forces. They use civilian ships as weapons. They turn cargo vessels into bombs. They attach engines to space stations and ram them into our fleet. Every piece of equipment they have becomes a weapon. Moreover, they captured several of our damaged ships. According to intelligence, they are already reverse engineering our technology. They learn impossibly fast. Draknor slammed his fist on the command console. We have them outnumbered. We have better technology. Why are we losing? His chief military advisor spoke carefully. My lord, I believe the Zinthari were correct. These humans are not like other species. They see warfare as a science to be studied. They adapt to every situation. They refuse to accept defeat. On the ground, Colonel Hayes was training more colonists. People who had been farmers and engineers a few weeks ago were now effective soldiers. They learned quickly. They followed orders, and they fought with a determination that shocked the Krell. Remember, the Krell expect us to surrender when things get hard. That's what other species do. But we are not other species. We are humans. We evolved on Earth. Our ancestors survived ice ages and plagues and wars.
Giving up is not in our nature, the colonists nodded.
Many had family in the underground shelters. They were fighting to protect their children. That gave them strength the Krell could not match. Commander Helen Price was coordinating the overall strategy from Earth. She used tactics from human history. Sun Tzu's art of deception, Hannibal's ambush strategies, modern combined arms doctrine. She adapted them all to space warfare. She sent false signals to confuse the Krell. She made them think reinforcements were coming from empty sectors. She created the illusion of massive human fleets where only a few ships existed. The Krell, unused to such sophisticated psychological warfare, fell for many of these tricks. They spread their forces thin. They chased ghosts. They exhausted themselves fighting shadows. After 4 months of brutal combat, Draknor called a meeting with his commanders. The situation was grim. They had lost 60% of their fleet. Ground forces were requesting evacuation. Supply lines were under constant attack. My lord, we must consider withdrawal. The humans are grinding us down through attrition. Every day costs us ships and soldiers we cannot easily replace. Withdrawal? We retreat from primitive apes? My lord, they are not primitive. They are the most dangerous enemy we have ever faced. They fight without honor, without rules, without mercy. They use tactics we do not understand. They sacrifice themselves willingly if it means taking us down with them. Another commander added his voice. Sir, they captured Commander Vrax's ship intact. We thought it was impossible to board a warship during combat. The humans did it anyway. They study our technology while we are still trying to understand their psychology. Draknor felt despair for the first time. We came with 200 ships to crush 40. How did this happen? The chief advisor spoke quietly. Because the Zinthari were right all along. Humans are not like us. They evolved in hell and became strong because of it. We evolved in paradise and became weak. When faced with extinction, we panic. When faced with extinction, humans fight harder. Across the galaxy, other species were watching the conflict with growing amazement. The Zinthari had tried to warn everyone. Now the truth was clear. Humanity was unlike any species ever encountered. Ambassador Krelltalk was meeting with the Galactic Council. We must intervene. The Krell are being destroyed and the humans show no signs of stopping. If this continues, it will be a massacre. But the Krell attacked first. They violated council law. Why should we help them? Because we need to show humanity that the galaxy can be reasonable. They are angry. They are hurt. And they are winning. If we do not step in now, they will take this war into Krell territory. And then, nothing will stop the bloodshed. Admiral Sullivan had already prepared for exactly that. Human forces were gathering for a counter-offensive. They would take the fight to the Krell homeworlds. They would show the galaxy that attacking Earth was the worst mistake anyone could make. But before the offensive could begin, Draknor made his final decision. Send a message to the humans. We request negotiations. We will withdraw from human space and pay reparations. Just stop this war. 3 months after the war ended, President Daniel Wright stood before the Galactic Council for the first time. The massive chamber was filled with representatives from 47 species. All eyes were on the human leader. The room was silent as Wright walked to the speaking platform. He could feel the weight of history on his shoulders. What he said today would determine humanity's place in the galaxy for generations to come. Honored members of the Galactic Council, I come before you not as a conqueror, but as a representative of a species that wishes to live in peace. The war with the Krell Dominion was not of our choosing, but we fought because we had no other option. We fought to survive. Many in the chamber nodded. Others remained wary. Wright continued. I understand that humanity has revealed capabilities that surprise and concern many of you. We are strong. We are resilient. And yes, we are effective in combat. But these traits were given to us by our world, not chosen by us. Earth made us what we are. We cannot change our nature, but we can choose how we use it. High Scholar Trenvik was in the audience. He had spent the past year studying humanity intensively. Now he was preparing to present his findings to the council. His research would change everything. After President Wright finished speaking, Trenvik took the platform. He pulled up holographic displays showing Earth's environment, human evolution, and comparative data from other species. Members of the council, I have completed my comprehensive study of humanity. My findings are remarkable and, I believe, essential for understanding our new neighbors. The displays showed Earth rotating in space. Red zones marked areas of danger. Almost the entire planet glowed red. Earth is classified as a death world. High gravity, extreme weather, active volcanism, regular ice ages, deadly predators, and scarce resources. By our standards, intelligent life should have been impossible here. Yet humans not only survived, they thrived. The display changed to show human physical capabilities compared to other species. Humans are physically stronger than 98% of known species. They can endure higher gravity, more extreme temperatures, and greater physical stress. Their bodies evolved to handle constant challenges. They heal faster. They adapt quicker. They push through pain that would incapacitate most of us. Another council member spoke up. This sounds like you are saying humans are superior to us. Trenvik shook his head. Not superior. Different. Superior in some ways, yes. But they also have weaknesses. They require more food and water. They are more aggressive by nature, which can cause internal conflicts. They have shorter lifespans than many species. What makes them remarkable is not that they are better in every way. It is that they evolved to overcome impossible odds. The display showed human history. Wars, disasters, near extinctions, and recoveries. The timeline was chaotic and violent compared to most species' peaceful developments. But physical capabilities alone do not explain humanity's success. What truly makes them unique is their psychology. Humans evolved in constant competition. They learned to innovate or die. They developed strategic thinking as a survival skill. War is not something humans stumble into. It is something they have studied and perfected over thousands of years. The chamber erupted in whispers. Trenvik waited for silence before continuing. This is why the Krell War ended as it did. The Krell have better individual ships and weapons, but humans have better tactics, better adaptability, and better determination. The Krell trained for war in times of peace. Humans trained for war while actively fighting. The difference was decisive. Ambassador Krell stood to speak. What Scholar Trenvik says is true. I have watched humans closely since first contact. They do not think like we do. Where we see problems, they see challenges to overcome. Where we see limits, they see targets to exceed. Their greatest strength is not their muscles or their weapons. It is their refusal to accept defeat. A council member from a species called the Varath asked a question. If humans are so powerful, how do we ensure they do not become a threat to the rest of us? How do we prevent them from using their strength to dominate the galaxy? Ambassador Claire Bennett stood up from the human delegation. She had been waiting for this question. You ensure our friendship by treating us as partners, not as threats to be controlled. We came to the galaxy seeking friends and knowledge. We offered peace. The Krell attacked us and still we showed mercy when we won. That should tell you everything you need to know about human intentions. She paused, looking around the chamber. We understand that our capabilities frighten some of you, but consider this. The galaxy has been at peace for 3,000 years. That peace was maintained by AI peacekeepers and mutual agreements. But what happens when something comes from outside the galaxy? What happens when the peacekeepers fail? Who will protect the species that have forgotten how to protect themselves? The chamber fell silent. No one had considered this possibility in millennia. Claire continued. Humanity offers to be the galaxy's defenders, not its rulers, not its conquerors, its defenders. We have the skills, the determination, and the will to face threats you cannot. In return, we ask for friendship, knowledge, and a place among you as equals. Trenvik spoke again. I support this proposal. Humans are uniquely suited to be protectors. They evolved to defend against impossible odds. Let them use those skills for the benefit of all species. The ancient AI peacekeepers, who rarely spoke in council sessions, activated their communication system. The voice that emerged was deep and ancient. We have observed humanity since first contact. We have analyzed their capabilities and intentions. Our assessment matches Scholar Trenvik's findings. Humanity represents a unique opportunity for the galaxy. They possess capabilities we lack. They think in ways we cannot. We formally recognize humanity as custodians of the hard edge. They will defend the galaxy's borders and face threats beyond our current capabilities. The chamber erupted in discussion. The AI peacekeepers had spoken, and their word carried immense weight. After hours of debate, the Galactic Council voted. By a significant majority, humanity was formally welcomed into the galactic community with a special status. They would be defenders, protectors, and problem solvers. 5 years passed. The galaxy changed in ways no one had expected. Admiral Kate Sullivan established the Terran Defense Initiative, offering military training to other species. Many took advantage, wanting to learn human tactics and strategies. Velshara was one of the first aliens to join the program. She became an exchange officer in the Earth Defense Force, learning everything she could about human military doctrine. Your training methods are brutal. You push soldiers to their absolute limits. Admiral Sullivan nodded. Because we train for the worst. In real combat, there are no second chances. Soldiers need to know they can survive anything. That confidence comes from training that proves it. I understand now why humans are so effective. You prepare for scenarios we never consider. You plan for disasters we think are impossible. That's the difference between surviving and thriving. We don't hope things go well. We prepare for when they don't. Humanity also began sharing their knowledge of resilience and adaptation. Dr. Lisa Cameron led programs teaching other species about disaster preparedness, emergency response, and survival techniques. Skills that humans took for granted were revolutionary to species that had lived in protected environments for thousands of years. The galactic community became stronger and more capable. Species that had relied on technology alone began developing their own inner strength. The humans inspired them to push boundaries, take calculated risks, and explore possibilities they had never considered. Jake Morrison, now an admiral himself, stood on the bridge of a new ship. The Horizon's Edge had been destroyed in the war with the Krell, but this new vessel carried the same name and spirit. He was leading an expedition beyond the explored galaxy, taking a mixed crew of humans and aliens into the unknown. Dr. Marcus Webb stood beside him, now the expedition's chief historian and cultural advisor. 5 years ago, we were alone and isolated. Now we lead joint missions to the edge of explored space. It's remarkable how much has changed. Jake smiled. We didn't change who we are. We just helped the galaxy understand us. And more importantly, we learned from them too. Look at our crew. Half are aliens. They bring perspectives and knowledge we never had. That is true integration. Not one side dominating the other, but both sides becoming stronger together. Back on Earth, President Wright was meeting with Ambassador Krelltalk. The Zinthari diplomat had become one of humanity's closest allies and friends. I must thank you again for your wisdom during those early days. You saw what we were before we understood it ourselves. Krelltalk's skin shifted to a warm color indicating pleasure. I was terrified of you. But terror is not a reason to reject friendship. It is a reason to seek understanding. I am glad we chose understanding. Wright nodded. The galaxy is safer with humans and Zinthari working together. We bring strength. You bring wisdom. That combination is powerful. Indeed. And when threats come from beyond our borders, as they inevitably will, we will face them together. That threat came sooner than anyone expected. 6 months after Jake's expedition departed, they encountered something at the edge of the galaxy. A massive fleet of unknown origin was approaching known space.